Thank you for building this country so that we can worship you without fear of persecution. I say, please be those who are traveling this season, keep them safe. Please keep the weather clear so that they can reach their destination safely and without any issues. I say, please open our hearts to the lesson tonight so that we can take it into the world. Please forgive us when we sin. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Steve. Next song, Safe in the Arms of Jesus. We sing 3 verses. Safe in the arms of Jesus, safe on his gentle breast, there by his love forsaken, Our invitation song will be Lord, I'm coming home. Tonight, I mentioned this morning, lesson tonight.
It's actually going to be delivered by Tony Hall. I have the audio of the very last lesson that Tony gave. Tony was the youth and family minister for the Louisville Church of Christ. I met Tony, the way I met Tony, you may have heard me tell the story of Jenny's best friend, her best friend's brother, who, when I met Jenny, none of Jenny's brothers were around, really. And so when he heard that I was dating his sister's best friend, I got a call in my dorm room at Oklahoma Christian, said, "Hey, buddy, we need to get together and talk." And so we met at his favorite Mexican restaurant in Casino Domino in Edmond, Oklahoma. And he grilled me up one side and down the other with question after question after question. And his questions were primarily focused on my spiritual life. What was my focus? Where was my head? And what were my intentions with this girl? And so that was my first introduction to Tony Hall. And Tony and I grew to be best friends. We did a lot together, a lot of camps, a lot of seminars, a lot of ministries. I was able to help him put together. He's the one who started the preacher training camp in Louisville that we still continue to go to and be a part of. And but this lesson was delivered on December 15th, 2005, and to hear Tony and just his voice is something that I was going through this the other day, listening to it and working with the PowerPoint that I made to go with it. Tears came to my eyes just because of how special of a person Tony is. But this was his final sermon. Tony had been diagnosed. He had had a seizure. He talks about it a little bit at the beginning of this lesson. He had a grand mal seizure while in an elders meeting, and was life-flighted to the hospital, and just a few weeks later had brain surgery. And this sermon was the very last sermon that he gave. After all of that, he still found the ability to be able to get up and preach one more time. And so I wanted you to know all of that because of what his message involves. And when you hear, you'll hear the passion in his voice. He's a very energetic, very enthusiastic individual. And for his message to continue to be proclaimed, now almost 14 years after he was gone, is something that's very special to me, because it does have a lot of power, a lot of impact by what he says. So, Sean, hopefully this will work.
It's been so long since I've been up here, so I'm just cherishing the moment. Cherishing the moment. Wow! It's exciting to have this opportunity again. It's real exciting. Express the appreciation that my wife and I extend to you. Stayed in my office for an hour to pump myself up so I wouldn't do this. Stay focused. We thank you. I sat in those hospitals, and I wondered about all those people in those other rooms who didn't have what I got. And that's y'all. I felt sorry for them. So I went and visited them. And a lot of them were in bad shape. And you and I are blessed I can't start preaching yet. Let me get back to my notes. But I do want to extend a very, very special thank you to you. This congregation has been extremely special. A lot of people who have gone through situations like I'm going through don't have a job anymore because their job would have sent them on their way. But this family, this eldership, this congregation has stepped in behind, and not just behind, they've carried us. And we want to thank you. And again, words cannot express what Jill and I feel about here. And I hope y'all can handle us because we're not going anywhere for a long time. What I'd like to do tonight is to give you a short summary of what has transpired in our lives over the last few months. The objective of doing this is to let you know the basics of what we know. So people are not wondering about what's going on in my health. And maybe, I can tell you this, thank you for all the asks, all the questions that I get afterwards. It's been amazing to be a part of a family like this, because we just get surrounded. And I know there's others that feel the exact same way. I know Jim Call and I have talked about it several times. I don't know how we could go through something like this without a family. But this sermon tonight and what I'm fixing to tell you is to help you know kind of where we're at. Because let me just be blunt. I'm never blunt, but let me just tell you straight up. I'm ready to go back to work. Okay? So, a lot of the reason why I wanted to do this tonight is to catch some of you up, because some of you have been wanting to know what we've kind of gone through and where we're at. And then maybe I can go back to work. Because I'll just be real straight with you. I miss it. I miss it. As most of you know, on Tuesday, August 30th, I was in an elders meeting. Got to be careful what happens at elders meetings. And I had a grand mal seizure. Last person I remember talking was Harold Taylor. That's also a problem. The next thing I woke up was in a hospital, at the Methodist hospital, after I'd been care flighted. By the way, I didn't get to enjoy that. I don't remember what it was like to be in a helicopter. And I found out that I had a tumor. Exactly 1 week later, almost to the minute, I had another seizure and spent another week in the hospital. Later, it was revealed that the tumor was malignant, and I was told if I didn't have surgery, I had 3 to 9 months to go. I mean, as I said, and I remember that, Dr. Mickey, who's one of the most incredible doctors and surgeons that I've ever experienced with, many of you have already, y'all talked to me before I ever went and saw him. You gave me his name as one to go to. I remember him walking in the room, and he came in with tears in his eyes, and I was sitting there thinking, I feel sorry for the people that he just visited with. Coming in and talk to me. I thought, man, he must have been carrying some bad news. And he gave it to me. But I want you to understand, they said 3 to 9 months if I did not have surgery. Okay? I had surgery, and they got great results. And currently, I am on chemo treatments and many, many other medications. And that's why I have pimples on my face. Okay, so when you see me, it's not that I'm 13 again. It's just that's what they do to me. The doctors are encouraged by the way I am doing after the surgery and the treatments. They're very encouraged. In fact, they've even downgraded some of my the level that they're working with me out of Houston on this chemo and stuff, and they're encouraged about where I'm at. So that's a blessing. But here's what I want you to hear. Out of 25 different doctors and surgeons, none of them can tell me exactly how much time, how much I can expect to live. 25 of them. I've heard all sorts of things about the number of time I've got and this and that, and not a one of them can tell me how much time I can expect. You know, after going through all this for a couple of months and looking at all the things that we've gone through, I'm not any different than the day I was on August 29th, before I went into the meeting at the elders. I didn't know then either how much time I've got left. And I don't know now how much time I've got left. And let me ask you, how much time you got? How much time? How much you got? How many more days, Linda, you got? How many you got? How many you got? We don't know. We don't know how much time we've got. So what matters now? What matters now? That's what we've got to focus on, brothers and sisters. It's what do we do now with what we've got? I don't know how much longer I've got. And neither do you. So we're in the same boat. I just got an autograph on the side of my head. And we're in the same boat. We don't know how much time. And that's what we've got to remember. And so tonight I just want to share a few things. Just a few things. And it's not going to be anything groundbreaking. Most of us have heard it over and over and over. But I'll tell you this, at age 34, I've got a different perspective on some things now. And some of you who have gone through other types of cancers, other types of illnesses, things that get you thinking differently, you've got a perspective on life different too. And I want to challenge all of us to examine ourselves tonight. Because this is not a game. Number one, life is short. Life is short. Can you believe it? It is the end of 2005 and almost 2006. Can you believe that? It seems like just yesterday everybody was in a worry and a panic of what the year 2000 was going to do to our computers. And now we are sitting here on the verge of entering 2006. When I moved down here over 5 years ago, we carried a little baby that was 10 weeks old. And now she's in kindergarten. We've got another one. Many of you carried her as a baby. And time flies. Life is short. Turn to James chapter 4, which was just read. And we've read this numerous times, but I want you to focus. Really think about what God's Word is telling us. Verse 13. Come now, you who say today or tomorrow we will go to such and such a city, spend a year there, buy and sell, and make a profit. Whereas, do you not know what will happen tomorrow? For what is your life? It is even a vapor that appears for a little time and even vanishes away. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we shall live and do this or that. But now you boast in your arrogance. All such boasting is evil. Therefore, to him who knows to do good and does not do it, to him it is sin. How many times have we read this? How many times have we heard this? How many times have you heard the statement, we need to live our lives for God. We need to live our lives for God. We've heard that over and over, and that is such a very true statement. I believe there are many people that have the intentions of living their lives for God, but never get to doing it because they never get started today. You and I must live today for God, so you and I will have lived our lives, that we can live our lives for God. I want to repeat that again because I just butchered it. You and I must live today for God, so you will have lived your life for God. It starts today. We must live today for God so that our life will be for God. A lot of times, even myself, I catch myself making plans and saying, I'll start tomorrow. I want to get something done. My wife will be the first one to tell you that. I want to do something around the house. Get something fixed, which I'm not very good at that. But I want to do that. And she'll finally have the courage to ask me, well, when are you going to do that? Oh, I'll try to get that to it tomorrow. If I had $1 for every time I had said something like that, woo, I'd take you all out to eat. Are you doing that with your spiritual life? Are you doing that with your spiritual life? Say, I'm going to live my life for God, but I'm going to start it tomorrow. Are you living each day for God? Because as I've been reminded, I don't know about tomorrow. I don't know. And neither do you. We don't know about tomorrow. I don't want to invest myself in tomorrow. I want to invest myself in God today. Let me just ask, stop for a minute. Please, just stop for a minute. Ask yourself right now, if this was it, where are you going? Right now, you. Don't look around at other people and say, oh yeah, boy, that guy over there, boy, he's in trouble. I'm talking about you. If this was it, where do you go? See, we've got to live our life today for God because life is short. Life is short. I'm only 34 and I'm figuring that out quick. Some of you guys have got some years on you, and you've learned that. You've watched people go through that. Spouses, things that you're dealing with, even as this time of the season becomes very difficult for some very people that are sitting in this auditorium right now. Because life is short. And we've got to live our lives for God every day, so when our life is over, it's a celebration. That's what we've got to do. Let me ask you, how are you living your short life? And how we can do that is by focusing our lives on what matters. What's your life focus on? Focus your life on what matters, on what truly matters. There's a humorous story that was told about an important football game played by some famous college teams. In this game, there was 2 minutes left in the game. And one team was 6 points ahead when they had got possession of the ball. The coach told his quarterback to play it safe and try to run out the clock, sealing the victory. The young quarterback had ideas of his own, however. He went back to the huddle and said to his teammates, "Hey, coach says to play it safe. That's what the other team thinks we're going to do. So let's surprise them and run a pass play instead." He threw a pass, but a defensive back from the other team, who had the speed of a sprinter, cut in front of the intended receiver, intercepted the pass and took off running the other way for what looked like a sure game-winning touchdown. The quarterback, not known for being very fast, took off after the guy, ran him down, and tackled him at the 5-yard line. It proved to be a game-saving tackle as their defense shut the other team down while the clock ran out. After the game, the losing coach came up to the winner and said, "Hey, all I had heard was how slow your quarterback was. Yet he ran down my speedster." "Yeah," the winning coach answered, "but you have to understand, your man was running for 6 points. My man was running for his life." And you've heard that story. But after hearing that story, each time I read it, I've told the youth that so many times, they're over there going, "Oh, how many times I heard that?" Every time I think about that, it just brings it home to me. What are we running for? See, it was all about purpose. This quarterback steps back. He thought he had it made. I'm going to toss this ball and going to look great, score another touchdown. We're going to win it big on this game. And I look around, and I can see people saying, I'm going to live this life, and I'm going to score it big in this game right here. And we missed the objective. And then all of a sudden, this quarterback had a new perspective because his coach said, this is what you're supposed to do. And once it hit with him, he ran like he had never ran before. That slow old little quarterback tracked that old boy down and put him on the ground. And a lot of times when things like this hit you, when things of life come tracking you down and you get smacked, it gives you a new perspective, and you can come back and run your life in a different way. Not all this stuff is bad. Now, what I'm fixing to say, you're going to think I'm nuts. Well, you probably already did. But what I'm fixing to say has really come home to me. Look, can I just be real blunt? I'm not worried about this life. I'm not. I'm not worried about this stuff. I can die right now, and I am fine. I'm still breathing, so that means I'm winning. If I die, I have victory. Do you hear what I'm saying? If I'm alive now, I'm going to win, and I'm going to try to raise my family and help others find Jesus Christ. If I die, victory's mine. So don't tear for me, because it's victory. And we've got to live our lives like that. Not get so consumed in the things here and worried about what we're driving or what we're living in or what size this is or how much I'm making or this success or that success or what I'm wearing, and get taken into that. See, that's what Satan wants to do. He wants to get our eyes on all these different things so that we can't focus on what really matters. You ever seen a big lion? See these guys, these trainers come in, they come cracking their whips, and they've got this chair. Now the whip and the gun in the pocket, that makes sense. I can understand that. The lion comes at you, crack him. If that doesn't work, shoot him. I got that. But that chair, that lion's going to go through that chair like nothing. And so what's that goofy chair going to do to that big old huge thing that's going to autograph your face? And it's known why they use it. Because see, that lion sees that chair with that 4 legs focused, and he can't focus on one leg. He tries to look at all 4 at the same time, and it confuses him. It doesn't allow him to focus on one, so he gets kind of confused, so he can't finish his purpose. And so it just keeps him disoriented. And I'm afraid many of us are living our lives, and Satan's got that chair right there, and we're supposed to be going that direction, but it's just, we can't stay focused. I believe that's one of Satan's biggest tools he's using on us. Stop for a minute. If this was it, which it could be, what are you focused on? Right now. Your life. Evaluate it. What are you focused on? Right now. Where are you looking? Or has Satan got you lured into the 4-chair-legged life, where we get ourselves so thin we can't get anything really done like we need to, and especially our spiritual life? That's what he's after. That's what he's trying to do. Turn to Matthew chapter 19, if you would. Matthew chapter 19. Let's read. We'll begin in verse 16. Again, another passage you've heard so many times. Matthew 19, beginning in verse 16. Now behold, one came and said to him, Good teacher, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? So he said to him, Why do you call me good? No one is good but one, that is God. But if you want to enter into life, keep the commandments. He said to him, Which ones? Jesus said, You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, honor your father and mother, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. The young man said to him, All these things I have kept from youth. I've known them for a long time. What do I still lack? Jesus said to him, If you want to be perfect, go sell what you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven, and come follow me. But when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, because he had great possessions. How many times have you read that passage? How many times have you heard that? From little to here. But what are we really caught up in? What has taken our eyes off the mark? What has taken it? See, there's so many things that Satan is going to throw at us and move at us and try to just slowly deter us off. Usually it's not something that just broadsides you and knocks you off real big. You know that. Look, when I'm laying in the hospital, I'm thinking, guys, I'm thinking. Okay, that was something that you start evaluating. It's a clear thinker. It's the little ones. It's the little stumbles. It's the times where it just starts picking away at you. It's like that old story about the frog that you've heard 5 million times if you've come to church. About the frog that's stuck in the water, just the warm water, and somebody just slowly turns that heat up until it gets so hot and boiling, it burns the frog to death. And that frog will never jump. Now don't be sick like I was and try that. It works. I'm just kidding. I didn't do that. How many times have we got caught in life and just slowly going, slowly going, and slowly going? We wake up one day and we ask, how did we get here? We've got to think. This guy wanted to follow Jesus. He was living a pretty solid life. He wanted to do it. But he had a hard time giving it all. Giving it all. Let me ask you, are you willing to give it all? My brother-in-law, who's a preacher, his line is, when he talks about this type of stuff, he says, don't worry about that stuff because it's all going to burn anyway. And that's the truth, isn't it? That house I got, going to burn. That car I drive, it's going to burn. The new clothes I'm going to have to buy because I can't fit these, they're going to burn. When it all comes down to it, the things that matter is where we better invest ourselves, our time. And it starts with this relationship with God. Are you focused on what matters? Are you truly focused on what matters? Or has Satan got you and your family just slowly on the side? Slowly turn the heat up. Turn to Matthew chapter 25, just a few pages over. Matthew chapter 25. We'll begin in verse 1. Then the kingdom of heaven shall be likened to the 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. Now 5 of them were wise. Listen. Now 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. Those who were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. But while the bridegroom was delayed, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight a cry was heard, Behold, the bridegroom is coming. Go out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said to the wise, Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out. But the wise answered, saying, No, lest there should not be enough for us and you. But go rather to those who sell, and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went into him to the wedding. And the door was shut. Afterward the other virgins came also, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Assuredly I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour in which the Son of Man is coming. I can't say anymore. I can't say anymore. We've got to decide. And there's people in this room right now that need to decide. Because the world has crept in and has pulled away. Let me ask you, what group are you in? The wise or the foolish? Because right now, brothers and sisters, the door is open. Those of you that aren't brothers and sisters, those of you that still need to answer the call, the door is open. How long? I don't know. Just like I don't know how long I'm going to breathe, I don't know how long it's going to be till Jesus Christ comes back. It could be tonight that we hear the sound and the Lord returns. I don't know. The answer is, and the answer you can come up with, is what's going to happen when it does happen. Because can you know? I've heard it said numerous times from this very pulpit. Yes, you can know. 1 John chapter 5, verse 13. I write these things. Why? So that you may know you have eternal life, and you may continue to believe in the name of the Son of God. You may know. It's not a guessing game. If you follow the roadmap that God's given, you can know. You can say it with confidence. You can know. Live now, I win. Die now, victory. What about you? You've got a moment right now. You've got one of those moments right now. I don't know where you are. I don't know what road you're following. Only you and God know the truth of what's here. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? The invitation is yours. It's extended. Not because I'm standing up here, but because God wants you to be a part of that family. Are you ready? I don't know how long I've got. Tony Hall may live till he's 70, 80, 90. Bless your heart if that happens. I may die today. But the one thing for sure, I'm with Him. And that gives me the comfort, the peace that passeth all. I mean, it gets me beyond everything. I sleep. I sleep. What about you? If you don't let today be the last day. Make it right now, where you can have a peace that passeth that all understanding. Let you have that relationship with God that you know you're okay. You're a footstep away. All it takes is a decision that you can make right now. Make it now as we stand and sing.